every U.S. weapon used in Vietnam War. The M16 rifle stands as one of the most significant small arms developments in military history, gaining widespread recognition during the Vietnam War. Introduced to U.S. forces in the early 1960s, this lightweight assault rifle represented a dramatic departure from traditional military firearms and fundamentally changed infantry combat. Designed by Eugene Stoner for Armalite and later produced by Colt, the M16 utilized innovative materials and design principles. Its extensive use of aluminum alloys and plastics reduced weight to approximately 7.2 pounds, making it considerably lighter than previous battle rifles. The weapon chambered the smaller 5.5 6.35 mm cartridge, which generated less recoil and allowed soldiers to carry significantly more ammunition, a critical advantage during prolonged jungle engagements. The M16 featured selective fire capability, enabling soldiers to switch between semi-automatic and fully automatic modes. Its 20-round detachable magazine and effective range of 500 meters made it well suited for the close to medium-range combat typical in Vietnam's challenging environment. Despite its advantages, the M16 initially faced severe criticism. Early models experienced chronic jamming problems due to inadequate cleaning procedures, environmental conditions, and manufacturing issues. These reliability problems were eventually resolved through modifications, including chrome-plated chambers, improved maintenance protocols, and the upgraded M16, a one variant introduced in 1967. The M16's impact extended far beyond Vietnam. It established the template for modern assault rifles and remains in service today through evolved variants like the M4 Carbine. Over 8 million M16s have been produced, making it one of the most widely used military rifles globally and a lasting symbol of American military technology. The M14 rifle holds a unique place in American military history as the standard-issue infantry weapon during the early Vietnam War years and the final full-power battle rifle adopted by U.S. forces. Officially entering service in 1957, the M14 was designed to replace multiple weapon systems, including the M1 Garand, M1 Carbine, and Browning automatic rifle, creating a universal firearm for all combat situations. Developed by Springfield Armory, the M14 chambered the 7.62 x 51 mm NATO cartridge, a powerful round capable of effective fire beyond 500 meters. The rifle featured selective fire capability, allowing soldiers to switch between semi-automatic and fully automatic modes. It weighed approximately 9.2 pounds unloaded and utilized a 20-round detachable box magazine. The M14's gas-operated rotating bolt system drew heavily from the proven M1 Garand design, ensuring mechanical reliability and exceptional accuracy. Despite its strengths, the M14 faced significant challenges in Vietnam's combat environment. The rifle's 44-inch length and considerable weight hindered mobility through dense jungle terrain and restricted maneuverability during close-quarters engagements. The powerful 7.62 mm ammunition generated substantial recoil, rendering full automatic fire virtually uncontrollable and impractical. Additionally, the heavy cartridges limited the amount of ammunition soldiers could carry during extended operations, a critical disadvantage in sustained firefights. These limitations prompted the U.S. military to begin replacing the M14 with the lighter, more controllable M16 rifle starting in 1964. The M14 thus achieved the distinction of having the shortest service life as a standard-issue rifle in U.S. military history, less than 10 years in frontline service. However, the M14 story didn't end in Vietnam. Its superior accuracy and range kept it in specialized roles as a designated marksman rifle throughout the war. The M1 Garand, though primarily associated with World War II and Korea, played a significant role during the early stages of American involvement in Vietnam. Adopted in 1936 As the U.S. military's first standard-issue semi-automatic rifle, the Garand represented a revolutionary advancement in infantry firepower and earned General George S. Patton's famous praise as the greatest battle implement ever devised. Designed by John C. Garand at Springfield Armory, this gas-operated rifle chambered the powerful .30-06 Springfield cartridge and fed from an 8-round en-bloc clip. Weighing 9.5 pounds, the M1 Garand provided excellent accuracy, reliability, and stopping power at ranges exceeding 500 yards. Its semi-automatic action gave American soldiers a significant rate-of-fire advantage over bolt-action rifles used by many adversaries. In Vietnam's early advisory period, during the late 1950s and early 1960s, U.S. military advisors often carried M1 Garands while training South Vietnamese forces. The rifle was also issued to South Vietnamese army units before more modern weapons became available. However, the Garand's limitations became increasingly apparent in Vietnam's unique combat environment. The rifle's length and weight hindered movement through dense jungle vegetation. The distinctive ping sound made when the empty en-bloc clip ejected could alert enemies to a soldier's empty weapon. The 8-round capacity proved insufficient compared to weapons with detachable box magazines holding 20 rounds or more. Additionally, the powerful .30-06 ammunition limited how much soldiers could carry during extended patrols. The M1 Garand's legacy extends far beyond Vietnam, standing as one of the most influential and successful military rifles ever produced, with over 5 million manufactured. Please subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video. It means a lot. The M1 Carbine, originally developed during World War II, remained a significant weapon in the Vietnam War, particularly among South Vietnamese forces and American support personnel. Designed in 1941 as a lightweight alternative to the standard M1 Garand rifle, the carbine was intended for soldiers whose duties made carrying a full-size rifle impractical, including officers, vehicle crews, radio operators, and support troops. Weighing just 5.2 pounds, the M1 Carbine was remarkably light and compact, making it ideal for the close-quarters jungle warfare common in Vietnam. It fired the .30 carbine cartridge from a 15-round or 30-round detachable box magazine, providing adequate firepower for short to medium ranges up to 300 yards. The rifle's gas-operated semi-automatic action allowed for rapid follow-up shots, while variants like the M2 Carbine offered selective fire capability with full automatic operation. In Vietnam, the M1 Carbine saw extensive use by the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, ARVN, supplied through U.S. military assistance programs. American advisors, helicopter crews, tunnel rats, and rear echelon personnel also frequently carried the weapon due to its manageable size and weight. Its compact design proved advantageous when moving through dense vegetation or operating in confined spaces like vehicles and helicopters. However, the M1 Carbine had notable limitations. Its intermediate power cartridge lacked the stopping power and penetration of full-power rifle rounds, sometimes proving inadequate against determined enemies. The weapon's effective range was considerably shorter than battle rifles, limiting its utility in open terrain engagements. Despite these drawbacks, over 6 million M1 carbines were produced, making it one of the most manufactured American military firearms. The M2 Carbine represented an evolutionary advancement of the World War II era M1 Carbine, adding fully automatic fire capability to create a lightweight selective fire weapon. Developed in 1944, the M2 was created to provide U.S. forces with greater firepower, while maintaining the compact size and light weight that made the original M1 Carbine popular among support personnel and specialized troops. Weighing only 5.5 pounds, The M2 Carbine featured a selector switch allowing soldiers to choose between semi-automatic and fully automatic firing modes. It chambered the .30 carbine cartridge and typically fed from 30-round detachable box magazines, though 15-round magazines could also be used. The weapon's cyclic rate of fire reached approximately 750 to 775 rounds per minute in automatic mode, providing substantial close-range firepower despite its intermediate power ammunition. In Vietnam, the M2 Carbine saw considerable service, particularly with South Vietnamese forces who received thousands through U.S. military aid programs. American advisors, helicopter crews, vehicle operators, and tunnel rats also employed the weapon when its compact dimensions proved advantageous. The carbine's lightweight and manageable recoil made it accessible to smaller-statured soldiers and ideal for the confined spaces and dense jungle terrain characteristic of Vietnamese combat environments. However, the M2 shared the M1's fundamental limitation. The .30 carbine round lacked sufficient stopping power and penetration compared to full-power rifle cartridges. The lightweight weapon also exhibited significant muzzle climb during automatic fire, reducing accuracy beyond extremely close ranges. Additionally, the cartridge's limited effective range of approximately 200 to 300 yards restricted the weapon's tactical applications. Despite these constraints, the M2 Carbine remained popular for its reliability, ease of maintenance, and suitability for troops requiring a compact weapon. The M60 machine gun served as the primary general-purpose machine gun for U.S. forces throughout the Vietnam War, providing crucial sustained firepower for infantry squads and vehicle-mounted operations. Adopted in 1957, the M60 was designed to replace the aging Browning M1919 machine gun and the heavier Browning M2, offering a more versatile weapon system suitable for multiple combat roles. Nicknamed the Pig by soldiers due to its weight and bulk, the M60 weighed approximately 23 pounds and fired the 7.6 2x51 mm NATO cartridge from disintegrating belt ammunition. The gas-operated, air-cooled weapon could sustain a cyclic rate of 550 rounds per minute with an effective range exceeding 1,000 meters. Its design incorporated features from German MG-42 and FG-42 machine guns, creating a reliable and hard-hitting weapon system. In Vietnam, the M60 proved indispensable across various applications. Infantry squads typically assigned one M60 per unit, with the machine gunner and assistant gunner carrying the weapon, spare barrels, and ammunition. The M60 provided devastating suppressive fire during firefights and ambushes, often turning the tide of engagements. It was also mounted on helicopters, particularly A-1 Huey gunships, river patrol boats, and armored vehicles, making it one of the war's most versatile weapons. Despite its effectiveness, the M60 had notable drawbacks. Its weight exhausted machine gunners during extended patrols through difficult terrain. The weapon required frequent barrel changes during sustained fire to prevent overheating, and the barrel change process was cumbersome and potentially dangerous. Additionally, the bipod and gas system were prone to damage, and the weapon's complexity made field maintenance challenging in harsh jungle conditions. Nevertheless, the M60 earned respect from soldiers for its firepower and reliability under combat conditions. It remained the U.S. military's standard machine gun for decades, serving beyond Vietnam in numerous conflicts. The M2 Browning Caliber Heavy Machine Gun, affectionately known as Mar-Deuce by American servicemen, provided devastating firepower throughout the Vietnam War, despite being designed decades earlier. Developed by John Moses Browning in 1918 and adopted by the U.S. military in 1933, the M2 proved so effective that it remained virtually unchanged through Vietnam and continues serving today. Weighing 84 pounds for the weapon alone and 128 pounds with its tripod mount, The M2 fired the powerful. The M2 fired the penetrating light armor, concrete walls, and vehicle engines at ranges exceeding 2,000 yards. The belt-fed, recoil-operated machine gun maintained a cyclic rate of 450 to 600 rounds per minute, delivering devastating suppressive fire and anti-materiel capability that smaller weapons couldn't match. In Vietnam, the M2 Browning saw extensive use across multiple platforms. Ground forces mounted it on M113 armored personnel carriers, gun trucks, and fixed defensive positions at fire bases and landing zones, where its range and stopping power provided crucial perimeter security. The weapon proved particularly valuable aboard river patrol boats, navigating Vietnam's extensive waterway networks, engaging enemy positions along riverbanks with exceptional effectiveness. The M2's most iconic Vietnam application came as helicopter armament. Door gunners on CH-47 Chinooks and other helicopters used the weapon to suppress enemy fire during insertions and extractions. Its ability to penetrate jungle canopy and destroy fortified positions made it invaluable for close air support missions. The weapon's main limitations included its substantial weight, which restricted mobility, and the significant ammunition load required for sustained operations. The powerful recoil and noise also demanded proper mounting and operator training. However, the M2's legendary reliability in harsh conditions, devastating firepower, and versatility across multiple roles made it indispensable throughout the conflict. The M2 Browning's continued service, over 90 years after its design, stands as testament to its exceptional engineering and enduring combat effectiveness. The M134 Browning machine gun, though designed during World War I, continued serving us and Allied forces during the early years of the Vietnam War. Developed by legendary firearms designer John Moses Browning and adopted in 1919, this air-cooled, belt-fed machine gun had proven itself through decades of combat before arriving in Southeast Asia, chambered in. Later 7.6 Springfield, later 7.6 2x51 pounds, and fired from a cloth or metal disintegrating belt at a cyclic rate, had featured exceptional reliability and an effective range of over 1,000 yards, making it a formidable support weapon. Various models existed, including the M1 with its distinctive perforated barrel jacket, and the M1 which added a shoulder stock and bipod for infantry use. In Vietnam, the M1919 saw widespread use, particularly among South Vietnamese forces, who received thousands through military assistance programs. The weapon equipped river patrol boats, patrolling the Mekong Delta, armored vehicles, and defensive positions at bases and outposts. American advisors and some U.S. units also employed the M1919 during the conflict's early phases, before transitioning to the newer M60 machine gun. The weapon's main advantages included proven reliability under harsh conditions, simple maintenance, and devastating sustained firepower. Its robust construction withstood the jungle's humidity, mud, and intensive use. However, the M1919 suffered from considerable weight, making it cumbersome for mobile infantry operations. The lack of a quick-change barrel system meant overheating during prolonged firing, and the weapon required a tripod or vehicle mount for effective operation. Despite being gradually replaced by the M60, the M1919 remained in service throughout much of the Vietnam War, particularly with South Vietnamese forces. Its decades of proven performance and battlefield reliability made it a trusted weapon, even as more modern alternatives became available. The M1919's longevity demonstrated the timeless effectiveness of Browning's original design. The M134 Minigun stands as one of the most devastating and iconic weapons of the Vietnam War, delivering unprecedented firepower from helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft. Developed by General Electric in 1963, this electrically driven six-barreled rotary machine gun revolutionized aerial firepower and became synonymous with American air superiority during the conflict. Based on Richard Gatling's original 19th-century rotating barrel concept, but powered by electric motors rather than hand cranks, the M134 fired the 7.6 2x51 mm of 2,000 rounds per minute. Weighing approximately 86 rotating barrels that fired sequentially, allowing for sout overheating, a critical advantage over conventive range extended to 1,000 meters, though it proved most devastating at closer distances. In Vietnam, the M134 found its primary role aboard helicopter gunships that resembled solid red lines of tracers, earning the weapon fearsome respect from both American troops and enemy forces. The AC-47, Spooky, and AC-130 gunships mounted multiple miniguns, transforming these aircraft into flying fortresses capable of saturating entire areas with fire during close air support missions. The weapon's incredible rate of fire provided unmatched suppressive capability, devastating effectiveness against personnel and light vehicles, and psychological impact on enemy forces. However, the M134 consumed ammunition at prodigious rates, requiring substantial logistical support. Its dependence on electrical power and mechanical complexity demanded regular maintenance, and the weapon's weight restricted mounting options primarily to vehicles and aircraft. Despite these limitations, the M134 minigun became legendary for its firepower and reliability. Its distinctive sound, a deep, continuous roar rather than individual shots, became one of Vietnam's most recognizable combat sounds, symbolizing overwhelming American technological superiority and remaining in military service worldwide today. The M3 submachine gun, nicknamed the grease gun due to its resemblance to a mechanic's grease applicator, served U.S. forces during the Vietnam War, despite being designed for World War II. Developed in 1942 as a simplified, cost-effective replacement for the Thompson submachine gun, the M3 was specifically engineered for ease of mass production using stamped metal parts and welding rather than complex machining, chambered in. 45 ACP, the M3 weighed just 8 pounds empty and fired from a 30-round detachable box magazine. The weapon operated on a simple blowback mechanism with a remarkably slow cyclic rate of approximately 450 rounds per minute, making it surprisingly controllable during automatic fire. Its effective range extended to roughly 100 yards, though accuracy declined significantly beyond 50 yards. The M3, a one variant, introduced in 1944, eliminated the cocking handle in favor of a finger hole in the bolt, further simplifying the design. In Vietnam, the M3 saw limited but notable service. Tank crews, armored vehicle operators, and some support personnel carried the compact weapon when space constraints made rifles impractical. Its reliability in harsh conditions and simple maintenance requirements proved valuable in Vietnam's challenging environment. The weapon required minimal cleaning and could function even when heavily fouled with mud or debris, a significant advantage in jungle warfare. However, the M3 had considerable limitations. Its short effective range made it unsuitable for most infantry engagements, where combat often occurred at distances exceeding 200 yards. The weapon lacked accuracy compared to rifles, and its stamped construction felt crude to soldiers accustomed to more refined firearms. The slow rate of fire, while controllable, reduced firepower compared to faster-firing submachine guns. By the mid-1960s, the M3 was largely obsolete for frontline infantry use, replaced by more versatile weapons like the M16 rifle. Nevertheless, it remained in service with vehicle crews and support units throughout the war, finally being retired from U.S. military service in the 1990s after over 50 years of faithful service. The Swedish K, officially designated as the Kulsprut pistol M45, K-pierced M45, became an unlikely but effective weapon in the hands of U.S. Special Operations Forces during the Vietnam War. Designed and manufactured in Sweden beginning in 1945, this submachine gun was originally developed for the Swedish military but gained international recognition for its reliability, simplicity and suitability for clandestine operations. Chambered in 9x19mm parabellum, the Swedish K weighed approximately 7.8 pounds and fed from a 36-round detachable box magazine. The weapon operated on a simple blowback mechanism with a cyclic rate of around 600 rounds per minute, providing controllable automatic fire. Its effective range extended to roughly 200 meters, though it proved most effective at close quarters. The weapon's all-metal construction and straightforward design made it exceptionally reliable in harsh environments. In Vietnam, the Swedish K found favor particularly among U.S. Navy SEALs and other special operations units conducting covert missions. The weapon's key advantage was its ability to effectively mount sound suppressors, making it ideal for nighttime raids, ambushes, and reconnaissance operations where stealth was paramount. When suppressed, the Swedish K produced minimal noise and no muzzle flash, allowing operators to engage targets without revealing their positions. Special forces valued the weapon's compact size for jungle operations and river patrols, while its reliability in wet, muddy conditions proved essential during amphibious insertions. The 9mm ammunition was also lighter than 45 ACP rounds, allowing operators to carry more cartridges during extended missions behind enemy lines. The Swedish K's main limitations included its relatively short effective range compared to rifles and limited stopping power with 9mm ammunition. However, for close-quarters combat and covert operations, these drawbacks were offset by its suppressor compatibility and reliability. Though never officially adopted as a standard U.S. military weapon, the Swedish K earned legendary status among special operations forces in Vietnam, demonstrating that sometimes foreign weapons best suited specific mission requirements. The M1 a one pistol served as the standard-issue sidearm for U.S. forces throughout the Vietnam War, continuing a legacy that began in 1911. Designed by the legendary John Moses Browning and adopted by the U.S. military in 1911, with the improved A1 variant introduced in 1926. This semi-automatic pistol became one of the most iconic and trusted handguns in military history. Chambered in 45 ACP automatic Colt pistol, the M1 weighed 2.44 pounds, loaded and held 7 rounds in a single-stack detachable box magazine, +1 in the chamber. The pistol operated on a short recoil mechanism with a tilting barrel design, providing exceptional reliability and manageable recoil despite its powerful cartridge. The 45 ACP round delivered substantial stopping power at close range, making it highly effective in personal defense situations. In Vietnam, the M1 was issued primarily to officers, non-commissioned officers, vehicle crews, machine gunners, medics, radiomen, and support personnel for whom carrying a rifle proved impractical. Helicopter pilots and door gunners relied on the pistol as their personal defense weapon during missions. Tunnel rats, soldiers who explored Viet Cong underground tunnel systems, frequently carried the M1911, a 1 due to its compact size and devastating close-range effectiveness in confined spaces. The weapon's advantages included proven reliability under harsh jungle conditions, simple maintenance, and legendary stopping power. The 45 ACP cartridge could incapacitate targets with a single well-placed shot, critical in life-threatening close encounters, Its all-steel construction withstood abuse and continued functioning even when dirty or wet. However, the M1911 had limitations. Its 7-round capacity was low compared to some foreign pistols, and the heavy trigger, pull, and significant recoil required practice for accurate shooting. The pistol's weight also made extended carry uncomfortable for some soldiers. Despite these minor drawbacks, the M1911 earned unwavering loyalty from those who carried it. Its performance in Vietnam further cemented its reputation, and variants continue serving U.S. Special Operations Forces today, over a century after Browning's original design. The M1917 revolver, despite being designed during World War I, saw continued service during the Vietnam War in limited roles, particularly among South Vietnamese forces and some American personnel. Originally adopted in 1917 to address wartime handgun shortages, this large-frame 6-shot revolver was produced by both Colt and Smith & Wesson, converting their successful commercial designs to military specifications, chambered in. 45 ACP, the same cartridge as the M1911 pistol. The M1917 weighed approximately 2.5 pounds and featured a 5.5-inch barrel. The revolver required special half-moon clips to hold 45 ACP cartridges each, allowing the rimless pistol ammunition to function in a revolver designed for rimmed cartridges. The double-action mechanism permitted firing, either by cocking the hammer manually for precise shots or pulling through the heavier double-action trigger for rapid engagement. In Vietnam, the M1917 primarily equipped South Vietnamese forces who received surplus American weapons through military aid programs. Some American rear echelon personnel, military police, and advisors also carried the revolver, particularly during the conflict's early years before sufficient M1911 pistols became available. The weapon's simplicity and reliability made it suitable for personnel requiring basic sidearm protection. The M1917's advantages included exceptional durability, mechanical simplicity requiring minimal maintenance, and the proven stopping power of the 45 ACP cartridge. Revolvers were generally more reliable than semi-automatic pistols when poorly maintained, an important consideration for irregularly trained forces. The weapon's robust construction could withstand severe abuse and harsh jungle conditions. However, the M1917 suffered significant limitations compared to modern sidearms. Its 6-round capacity was inadequate for sustained engagements, and reloading proved slow and cumbersome, especially under stress. The revolver's substantial size and weight made concealed carry difficult, while the requirement for half-moon clips added complexity to an otherwise simple design. By the mid-1960s, the M1917 was largely obsolete, relegated to reserve stocks and secondary forces. Nevertheless, its presence in Vietnam represented the final chapter for this World War I-era design, which had faithfully served through multiple conflicts spanning nearly 5 decades. The Ithaca 37 shotgun served as one of several combat shotguns employed by U.S. forces during the Vietnam War, earning respect for its reliability and devastating close-range firepower. Designed by John Browning and introduced by Ithaca Gun Company in 1937, this pump-action shotgun featured a unique bottom-loading and bottom-ejecting design that made it ambidextrous and protected the action from debris in harsh environments. Chambered in 12-gauge, the military variant typically held 5 rounds in its tubular magazine, plus 1 in the chamber. The shotgun weighed approximately 7 pounds, with an 18 or 20-inch barrel, making it compact and maneuverable in close quarters. It fired various ammunition types, including buckshot, slugs, and specialized rounds, providing tactical flexibility for different combat situations. In Vietnam, the Ithaca 37 saw extensive use among point men, tunnel rats, base security personnel, and soldiers conducting jungle patrols where close-range engagements were common. The weapon's devastating spread pattern made it exceptionally effective for clearing bunkers, ambush situations, and nighttime perimeter defense. Tunnel rats particularly valued the shotgun when exploring Viet Cong underground complexes, where its stopping power in confined spaces proved unmatched. Ithaca 37's bottom ejection prevented spent shells from interfering with the shooter's sight picture and kept the action cleaner in muddy conditions. Its simple, rugged construction required minimal maintenance and functioned reliably despite Vietnam's humidity, heat, and dirt. However, shotguns had limited effective range, typically under 50 yards, and held fewer rounds than rifles. Ammunition was also heavier and bulkier to carry. Despite these limitations, the Ithaca 37's close-quarters effectiveness made it a valued weapon throughout the conflict, with many soldiers specifically requesting shotguns for their missions. The Remington 870 pump-action shotgun became one of the most widely used combat shotguns during the Vietnam War, valued for its rugged reliability and devastating close-range firepower. Introduced commercially in 1951, the military adopted the weapon for combat use, with the Model 870 Mark I being the primary military variant serving in Southeast Asia, chambered in 12-gauge. The Remington 870 typically featured an 18 to 20-inch barrel and held 5 rounds in its tubular magazine, plus 1 in the chamber. Weighing approximately 7.5 pounds, the shotgun proved manageable for extended patrols while delivering formidable stopping power. It could fire various ammunition types, including .000 buckshot, slugs, and specialized rounds like fléchette shells containing small metal darts, providing versatility for different tactical situations. In Vietnam, the Remington 870 equipped point men leading patrols through dense jungle, soldiers conducting ambush operations, base perimeter guards, and tunnel rats exploring Viet Cong underground networks. The weapon's spread pattern made aimed fire less critical in close-quarters combat, while its psychological impact on enemy forces was substantial. The distinctive sound of a pump-action shotgun being chambered often deterred aggression. The 87O's advantages included exceptional reliability in harsh conditions, simple operation requiring minimal training, and devastating effectiveness within 40 to 50 yards. Its dual shell extractors and solid steel receiver provided durability that withstood Vietnam's punishing environment of mud, humidity, and intensive use. Limitations included short effective range compared to rifles, limited ammunition capacity, and the weight of shotgun shells restricting how much soldiers could carry. Despite these drawbacks, the Remington 870's close combat effectiveness earned it enduring popularity. The weapon remains in military and law enforcement service today, testament to its timeless design and proven battlefield performance. The Winchester Model 12 pump-action shotgun, though originally designed in 1912 as a sporting and hunting firearm, found renewed purpose as a combat weapon during the Vietnam War. This classic American shotgun was adapted for military use with shorter barrels and higher capacity magazines, providing U.S. forces with devastating close-range firepower in Southeast Asia's challenging combat environment. Chambered in 12-gauge, the military trench gun variant featured an 18 to 20-inch barrel with a cylindrical bore choke for maximum pellet spread. The Model 12 typically held 6 rounds in its tubular magazine, one more than many competing shotguns. Weighing approximately 7.5 pounds, the weapon featured Winchester's renowned smooth pump action and could be slam-fired. Holding the trigger down while pumping allowed continuous firing as fast as the operator could cycle the action. In Vietnam, The Winchester Model 12 served primarily with point men, tunnel rats, and ambush teams, where its close-quarters effectiveness proved invaluable. The shotgun excelled during nighttime perimeter defense, bunker clearing, and dense jungle patrols where engagement distances rarely exceeded 50 yards. Its ability to deliver multiple projectiles with each shot increased hit probability in high-stress combat situations. The Model 12's advantages included exceptional build quality, with its machined steel receiver, legendary reliability, and the tactical advantage of slam firing for rapid firepower. The weapon functioned consistently despite mud, moisture, and debris common in Vietnamese jungles. However, limitations included short effective range, limited ammunition capacity compared to rifles, and heavier ammunition reducing what soldiers could carry. Despite being gradually replaced by newer shotgun models, the Winchester Model 12 served honorably throughout the conflict, with some remaining in service through the war's end in 1975. The Stevens Model 77E pump-action shotgun served as a budget-conscious combat weapon during the Vietnam War, primarily issued to South Vietnamese forces and some American military police units. Manufactured by Stevens Arms Company, a subsidiary of Savage Arms, this economical 12-gauge shotgun was purchased in large quantities by the U.S. military for distribution through military assistance programs during the 1962. The Model 77E featured a simple, utilitarian design, with a 20-inch barrel and 5-round tubular magazine capacity. Weighing approximately 7 pounds, the shotgun was lighter than many competitors, though this came at the expense of refined manufacturing and premium materials. The weapon used straightforward pump-action mechanics and could fire various 12-gauge ammunition, including buckshot and slugs, providing adequate close-range firepower for defensive operations. In Vietnam, the Stevens 77% primarily equipped Army of the Republic of Vietnam, ARVN, troops, village defense forces, and auxiliary personnel, where cost considerations outweighed the need for premium firearms. American rear echelon units and military police occasionally carried the weapon for guard duty and base security. Its simplicity made it suitable for personnel with limited firearms training. The Model 77E's main advantage was its low cost, allowing military planners to distribute shotguns widely among Allied forces. The weapon's basic design required minimal maintenance and was relatively easy to operate for inexperienced soldiers. However, the Stevens 77E had significant drawbacks. Its budget construction meant lower durability and reliability compared to premium shotguns like the Remington 870 or Winchester Model 12. The weapon was more prone to malfunctions under harsh conditions and lacked the refined action and build quality of more expensive alternatives. These limitations made it a secondary choice behind better manufactured combat shotguns throughout the conflict. Please subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video. It means a lot.